And welcome, everybody. Welcome this beautiful Sunday afternoon, or in some places it's Sunday night, and in some places it's still Sunday morning. But welcome to this preview of the Awakening Summit, which will be held April 25th and April 26th in Long Island, New York. And this time, for all of you in the New York area, it's be much easier to get to, simply because of the fact that it's not that far out on Long Island. It's pretty much just over the border. So if you're in the tri-state area, it's a worthwhile event to attend. Please show up. So I would like to welcome all of our panel members here today. We've got Stu from Stu's News. We've got Lisa D, who is also from Stu's News, and we've got Donna Flora, who is the head of the Awakening Summit, and the next governor of California, my good buddy, Louis Herms. Welcome, everybody. So let's get into this a little bit. There's going to be a whole bunch of topics that are going to be discussed at this summit. Some very important topics to a lot of people. We're going to be talking about child trafficking. We're going to be talking about politics. We're going to be talking about the election, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the topics that's very near and dear to my heart, everybody knows, has been child trafficking. And I know that's very important to all of us. Louis also does a lot of shows on child trafficking. And let's get into that topic. Because a lot of people seem to realize that it's out there. They seem to be very frustrated with discuss child trafficking, and they feel that it's a little too much of a burden on them, and it's very depressing to them. But it's very important because it's still an ongoing thing, and it's still something that's going on not just here but globally. So let's just go around start with you, Stu, and let's talk about child trafficking a little bit.
Yeah, well, this is why we're all doing it, really. I haven't got any children, but I'm, I've got two nephews and a niece, and we're all doing it for the children ultimately. And, it's horrific looking into all this stuff when you're on the outside. But we've had, Elise and I on Patriots Across the Pond, have had 3 guests on over the last month or so. Laura Worley, Marianne T, and Sue Lincolnfelter. And it's quite harrowing listen to the stories of these people, because it's not just about abuse. It's about mental torture, manipulation, different lives, and it's just it's something that's dear to all our hearts. And we're trying to eradicate this from the earth, aren't we? Which is why we keep fighting and fighting and fighting. Ultimately, that is what it's all about. We can talk about election fraud and all these other things, but ultimately, it's all about the kids and the future generations that have got to make sure none of this crap happens again.
Amen to that. Lisa?
Well, similar to what Stu said, we have had a number of guests, and we do, that's a very important part of what we're trying to bring exposure to and understanding. I can speak personally that while I was aware of a lot of what was going on, one of the things that really shocked me, in the last couple of years, is how much of the trafficking is done within families. To me, you think about child trafficking and you always think about kids getting abducted and being passed around by strangers and all the horrible things that are done. And I've even been aware of how this goes on, with the government, right, with MK Ultra programs and things like that. But the idea that I think the estimate is around 35% is actually being done within and by families. And that just blows my mind, so the idea of bringing some awareness to this ongoing and increasing that is to also make people understand that this could be happening in your own neighborhood. And we have to be vigilant and know the signs and be able to see where maybe, the guy that we think is a nice, upstanding citizen in the community, or the woman, is really a horrible, disgusting person. And we need to, be able to understand where there are signs with people, which I think it was Marianne on our show who actually explained, she helps people, explained what some of those signs are, because to the average person, you might not know. And the other thing that I wanted to say on this topic is, I believe, and I'm hopeful that with Epstein drops now, it's not as easy for people to sort of hide. It was slammed in their face at such an explosive amount. We have our own experience, Stu and I, where we're doing a show once a week called Red Pill and Renee with a cousin of mine who thought I was crazy, like made fun of me and, oh yeah, I know everyone's a pedophile. Okay. And when the Epstein files broke, he was literally a broken man after reading some of this stuff. He could not believe, he couldn't make sense. All he kept saying, right, there was a point where he just was saying words, babies, children, like, and so I hope that as hard as this is, we're going to, slam open a lot more people's consciousness to be aware of this so we can really start to eradicate it.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Now, Louis, you and I have really done a lot of shows in regards to child trafficking, and you turned it into almost a complete series. Let's talk a little bit about it.
Well, to touch on what Lisa said, which is important, a great man once said, my people will perish for the lack of knowledge. And my people are the children, right? And the lack of knowledge are the adults that have chosen to cover their ears, cover their eyes, and not speak it when we need to speak it. And this is the deepest, darkest issue. And our children are everything. And I had a very emotional moment just about a half hour ago. My daughter came home in order to, her mom and her are spending some time, doing hair things, girly things. And she ran up the stairs. She ran past her mom and she gave me the biggest hug and she was just bawling. In fact, I still have tears on my chest. She was just bawling and bawling, bawling, bawling. And I said, she couldn't even speak. I said, honey, what's going on? And she goes, I just miss you so much. I want everything to be great with you. I want you to be safe. And I said, what's going on? And she says, my friend just told me her dad died.
That'll do it.
So, and it's emotional for me because what we have been doing so deeply and for so long, all of us is fighting for the children, but not children that we know. We're fighting for children we don't know and the children to come. This is so much bigger than people can possibly imagine. This is good versus evil. And the critical part is for us, and I'm so happy that all of you are here today because you're warriors in this battle. And it's so important that we just keep pushing because the narrative is coming to us. It's so funny. At the beginning of my campaign, I had several advisors that said, Louis, don't go so conspiratorial. And I said, no, I go, trust me on this one. God told me the narrative's going to come to me. I don't need to go to the narrative. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Right? So this is huge. And we just need to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. We had another revelation with a child just last week where we're out to dinner with one of my my children who's a Marine. And he looked right in my mom's face, in his mom's face. And he says, Mom, he says, I'm going to say this one time. You were right about everything. So the narrative is coming to us. And we just need to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And I think God is holding us up now and giving us wings. Right? So I believe we are in an amazing time right now. And it's just, I'm just stressing that everybody that's watching this, if you can make it to New York for the event, you got to be there. This will be a revolutionary event. If you can't, you still need to get the word out. And at minimum, have the courage now to open your mouth and tell all your neighbors and all your friends of what's going on in the world, because this wind will be at your back shortly.
Yeah.
This is something I think a lot of people don't get, because one of the things we're dealing with, one of the problems that we've noticed, and it's now swung in the other direction, is, and I hate that phrase, part does. But basically, we can come out of the closet. We've reached a point where we don't have to whisper in the background and talk about these things. It's become evident to a lot of people, and it's in the forefront of people's minds, and they're starting to realize, I just go back to the old Charlie Ward line about the difference between a conspiracy and fact is anywhere between 12 and 18 months. And that's where we are now. And more people are starting to realize that. And that's a huge plus, not just a huge plus for us, but a huge plus for the kids and a huge plus for everything that we've been fighting for. So, Donna, why don't you weigh in on this?
Hey guys, I agree with each and every one of you. I mean, I think that's the bottom line. Lewis feeling a love and passion exchange he had with his child. Stewie talking about the love of his nephews, your commitment on your show, and of course Elisa over and over again. Steady fast she is about child trafficking, and she's a wonderful partnership with me, and I love her with all my heart, all of you. And it is true, I do follow my God instinct, Lewis. That's why I'm here. It was constantly pressing me, and I just had to respond to it. And I reached out to Elisa, and here we are. And the love and support from our podcast community, not that I'm really your podcast community, but I'm kind of a newbie and I love you all, is I don't think that parents have their heads up their asses. I think that parents were conditioned to be can't hear and see. I think somehow breaking the barrier information, I think the Epstein files has helped them to speak about horrors. So I'm not running the show, God's running the show, but apparently it has to go a little bit slower than we would. We're out there, we want to get them. We can't even comprehend what's happening, right? But it doesn't work like that. So in order to bring the community together, it is about bringing awareness. And Elise was talking about, the awareness of survival. She has MK Ultra survivors, Susan from Suffolk County, which we're so proud to have at our event this April, who's going to walk us through what she does. She volunteers all the steps and all the agencies. And Lewis running and making child trafficking number one. All I can say is we're working on God's timeline. We're in it for the love of the children. Whatever happened has happened, but we're trying to pave a future and a better environment for all of us to live in. And it's just going to happen just by awareness. I think the media is already controlled and they're dropping the verbiage to break the matrix. People are starting to hear words and asking questions. I just think that's the way it needs to go. So going forward, we can keep bringing the community together like that. It's spreading. People are very enthusiastic about going. People really want to know. Well, what do you mean it's so bad in Nassau County? What do you mean they don't have any safe houses to go to? Like, what do you do with rescue children? Like, we need a big realignment with our school system and teaching awareness to children and the parents. If you get 20% of that, that's 20% more on God than not. So this is the paving we need to do. Now we're the boots on the ground. We don't need to question why we're following our lead, our love for God and the children. Just keep going because you get all these affirmations that you're going in the right direction, even though you're not sure your outcome, but your goal is what you're focused on. And it is about the children. And I'm so looking forward to April, rallying with loving and strong, committed people who have all different careers and backgrounds. They're so fascinating that they're volunteering their time and energy to bring awareness to their community, to fellow humans on the earth. I mean, it's a global problem. But I really, something keeps telling me about bringing awareness and awakeness to New York, if that's a possibility. I believe it is. I say this on every show that I go on, not that it's more than two, but the Atlantic Ocean, the energy on the East Coast is magnificent. There is an energy, God's energy, and it has to come from the East Coast to go west. New York is a vital state in America. It has to happen in New York. Now, I think New York is a dynamite state. You have everything you can want in New York, and our waters are warm here in the summer, Lewis.
I
Just
know.
FYI. I mean,
I'm
the
jealous
Pacific
about that.
Ocean is gorgeous, but I'm not putting my feet in that.
No, I get it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of love here. New Yorkers can survive anything. Once you're aware, this of course is not a prejudice crime. because these star preachers that do what they do to children, they don't care who your parents voted for and what they look like. So once we can get all the diversion out of our language, and I think we're part of time that's going to be biblical, and our family will appreciate us when the next load of papers come out some, and when election fraud is brought out. Because if we don't have clean elections, we'll never get rid of the problems with the kids. We'll be controlled. I'm sorry. I mean, we just have
Right.
to. I'm trying to help here with Elisa and Stu and all of you to bring awareness to the East Coast, the state of New York, which needs it. And there's a lot of wonderful people going to bring out election fraud too, which I feel is going to be coming out this year. I think we're going to have a lot of turmoil, but a positive transition of things. And I'm sorry if you can't handle the truth. And I'm sorry if it makes the language of a child being trafficked, raped, killed, and organ harvest bothers you. Well, too bad. You're a grown up. Put your grown up pants on. And the children need adults. They need parents. They need uncles and aunts. Whoever the caregivers are, teachers too. I know there's great teachers here. Our nursing and firemen and our cops here on Long Island are number one. Wonderful people. I think if they really knew the magnitude, and a lot of them do see things, and we can pull more of them in to speak up so that the locals say, well, the firemen knew that. What do you mean the Port Authority turned their eye? What do you mean New York Port Authority turned their eye? What do you mean now you have a nonprofit organization for Port Authority to go to save rescue children? How could that be a conversation we're having here in the state of New York? So that's something to look at. And Susan out in Suffolk County should not be buried and alone. You know, people can, but I know people think, oh my God, I got to give up. I'm too busy. I can't do anything. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm not asking you to give me 3 days of your time. I'm not asking you for anything that's strenuous. But there's something you can do to make, you can knock on doors, you can pull together a coffee group of people, I'll come and talk there, I'll meet your friends. You know, it has to happen like this. So kudos to us. Louis, I'm so very proud of you. Man, you are our warrior. I am so proud that you taking a political stand and bringing up what you're bringing up. You're one of the most courageous men I know. And we can all follow in your footsteps. We love you. And it's going to be a great, when if it happens, the election.
Now, that's a topic that I actually want to get into right now. We're coming up in just a few short months into the election period. And you've got about a third of Congress that's up for to be replaced or is not deciding to continue their career. You've got a whole bunch of changes that could occur. You've got governors in key states who are running for re-election or who are going to be replaced. And the situation that we've got right now is you've got a lot of people in places like California and New York that are leaving the states and going to red states because they can't stand what's going on. And not all of them are conservatives. So I'm going to start with Louis on this. How much do you think that's going to affect voting in some of these red states? And possibly, unfortunately, because it is a double-edged sword, swing it in the other direction.
Okay, so I lost the last part of your question. You went digital on me. What was the last part?
The last part was how much, considering the fact that it is a double-edged sword, could swing the election not in our favor because you've got all of these blue voters
Right.
coming into red states and possibly more than redistricting sway the votes.
Yeah, I've talked to this extensively. So, I believe Gavin Newsom and his parasites out here in California, these his minions, they know that they are losing. They're losing the narrative. They're losing the war. They know this is God's time. So what I believe is happening, because I've studied historically a lot of wars, and something traditionally happens at the end of most wars, where the opposition that's losing goes scorched earth tactics, and they burn everything down because they don't want to leave you anything left. So knowing that election reform is on the horizon, which I'm going to have a huge announcement next week in regards to that. But knowing election reform is on the horizon, what these parasites are doing is, I believe, is they're not just trying to go scorched earth. They are doing their best to drive as many conservatives out of California. So when we have a real free and fair election, they still may have a chance to win. And then they can say, see, elections were never rigged. Right. So I believe that is the tactic. The good news, though, based on the people that we're talking to, is right now you can ignore the polls, even though the polls even show the Democrats are losing. You can still ignore the polls. We are having a lot of conversations with all political associations, and nobody has an appetite for the Democrats here in the state of California. And they're done. So I think they're so apathetic they won't even come out to vote, if they come out to vote, if they even intended to before. That being said, there's not even an appetite for the Republicans. There's an appetite for something different, right? And you have the polls so when I'm included in a poll, wow, I'm way up there. But most of the polls I'm not even included in, which is intentional, because this is the way the games are played. But I want to talk about a positive and a negative at the same time. So November 8th, I debated against Steve Hilton and 11 others on stage, right? And Steve Hilton, who I've given a pass for a while, was thoroughly embarrassed by me when it came to child trafficking. Thoroughly embarrassed. Didn't even know about child trafficking. Within a week, he's standing on a corner in Figueroa with a podium saying he's going to fix it all. And now it's the paramount position of what he talks about is child trafficking. And Cal Doge, by the way, I created the term Super Doge 7 months before he even thought about it. So my platform is being stolen. Now, the reason why I have such an issue with this is just yesterday, he came out and he said, I'm the only candidate talking about child trafficking.
Okay.
Well, he's going to hear about that because I'm in a debate with him this evening.
Ooh, okay.
So that's not going to play well for him, because I don't play games. And I can tell you several candidates are talking about this. When you take our children and you politicize it, you're going to hear a lot of heat from me, and I will not put up with it. And we, the people, will not put up with it. The good news is the guy that was never talking about it is now talking about it. And as of today, Bianco, for the first time, I believe, mentioned something about taking care of child trafficking. Now, I don't have any confidence that they're going to do anything about it, but the fact that they're putting that out there constantly is a great thing. So that's a huge win for our campaign. And it's a huge win for the children, because ultimately we just need to get the word out.
Yeah.
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 That's great.
That's pretty enraging, though. You know, I mean, you're going to fight back the way you need to, but it amazes me how people, they take, like you said, they politicize it for votes to get a job when there's no heart in it and there's no real intent. But you'll show him, show him, and he'll be sorry that he walked down that path.
It's a misstep, I promise.
Yeah. I mean, as far as New York goes, I wanted to just add, you know, I think part of the problem with the voting question that you asked, Mark, obviously part of it is making sure that there's a method in place to actually know what people are voting for. And I use New York because if you look in the past, right? I mean, this past the 2020 election, right? I really didn't know like anybody that much that was really, really gung-ho about, you know, Biden, right? And everyone I spoke to in our area, everyone I knew, it felt like, you know, I go to Staten Island, the signs were all up, you're going, and then all of a sudden, somehow we go blue. You know, we go blue in New York. So I think I think if the people of New York, and I'm still one of those crazies who thinks that regardless of how blue everything might be in New York, I have a feeling that we were red when it came to that election. I would venture to say we really were, and everybody come out for Trump. But needless to say, I do think that it's a difficult thing because here in our state, we haven't had fair elections in God knows how long. So people have just become, besides everything that's being done to them, there's just a glaze. There's just a glaze over people in New York, right, Donna? I mean, I don't know if it's just the spell. I don't know if it's the fact that everything is so expensive that you just can't have time to think about this stuff. I mean, Mark, something has to break that. There has to be a major scare event or something to the next level with the Epstein stuff that starts breaking these people out because they don't even know what the problem is.
Well, one of the things that I want to put out there, and I think that it's a very, very simple, extremely simple thing to present, is with everything that happened in Iran over the past 48 hours, the president made one very simple statement to the people of Iran. We're giving you back, just same thing they said in 2017, January 20th, 2017, okay? We're giving you back your country. Take control of it. And I think that's what the people here in the United States have to finally get rid of their apathy. Stop worrying about your next iPhone or your next Xbox or whatever, and worry about your future in this country and make some really, truly informed decisions. Because just looking at Lewis's situation, and maybe it's my own personal bias because of the fact that I spent 46 years in the mainstream media, but I wouldn't trust anybody from the media or any form of the arts who is running for high position in government. And I'm not saying that they're all, but Lewis's point to the fact that he had never spoken about it and was really blindsided by the thought of child trafficking should tell you everything that you need to know about this alleged candidate. So people have to start and really go introspective, start using their phones more than taking stupid videos and talking to family and friends, and go out and research the people who are out there and take the stand to save this country. Because it's got to be, in the end, it's got to be in our hands. Now, the other thing, because I really want to be mindful of everybody's time, and I know that there's only about half an hour that could really be given for this. Let's get to the point, and I'll kind of throw this into Lisa, your lap, and Donna's lap. Let's talk about what people can expect as they go to the Awakening Summit.
Do you want to start, Donna? You want me to just start saying a little?
Oh, yeah, you can go ahead first.
Okay.
I thought you were. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I was muted. So this event, there's a couple of reasons this event is so important. Number one, it's in New York. Number two, it's on Long Island. So the good news with that is that it's Western Nassau. It's not that far, from the boroughs, not that far from Connecticut and New Jersey. It's in a very central location, but it's not in the heart of Manhattan. Okay. So you're out a little bit in the suburbs, which to me is actually a plus. We've got a roster of amazing people that are going to speak to not only child trafficking, even though that's a very important subject, but bring some information and truth about what's really going on in terms of the geopolitics, a lot of the disclosure that's happening. The people that are coming to this event are, in my opinion, top notch in their knowledge, their experience, what they do for a living in terms of podcasting and getting good information. So I believe that in addition to all that someone's going to gain, you're going to also gain community. Because like I said, a lot of us here in New York feel very isolated. We feel crazy. And the people that are part of this movement need to get together more and more, because that's the way it's going to grow. In terms of who we have coming to this event, you can see it if you're looking at the screen. I mean, we have Derek Johnson, Kerry Cassidy, Lewis. At this point, I know you're going to be there by Zoom, so you'll have a presence there. Dr. Jan Halper Hayes. We have Joe and Scott from Truth Stream podcast. Brad Olson, Lisa Schermerhorn. We've got Laura Worley, who we talked a little bit about before, being a survivor and someone who helps people that have been MK Ultra'd in traffic. Bruce Poppy, Light Warrior Patriot, Kat, Chris O'Connor, Sue Lingenfelter, who we've talked about because she does a lot of work here on the island, particularly in Suffolk County with trafficking. Mark, you're going to be joining us by Zoom as well. And we just added Sheriff Richard Mack. So aside from what you're going to gain, you're going to have community. We also have, I think we still have some VIP tickets left. So if you're inclined, you could get there an hour earlier. You can mingle with the speakers, free breakfast. So there's a couple of other perks for being a VIP. It's a 2-day event. We are really, really excited because our last event was very successful, and now we're hoping to extend it. And we've got myself and Stu, who are going to be your MCs for this event. And as a result of that, because of course Stu is based in the UK, and we're partners in Patriots Across the Pond, we actually have some people from across the pond that are looking to come to the United States and come to New York for this event. So that's Donna. Do you want to say a little bit more?
Don't
I just
forget
wanted
Matt
to
Geiger.
wanted to make a shout out to Matt Geyer for his wonderful support and helping us
Yes.
financially
Thank you.
and donating. Lovely people, and he's a very giving human being, and I'm grateful to meet his company. I like the idea that we're bringing in information with hopeful suggestions on how we can be helpful regarding Susan and other people like survivors, because the information is overwhelming. So it's good to have like a resource. I want to bring more resources in with how you can be helpful. I'm really feeling strongly about the attack that was done to the nuclear family and trying to destroy our alpha males here in America. So I love that I have alpha men joining the panel. The women are already, we've been alphas, female alphas, right? But we need to bring more attention, I feel, to the strength and security that alpha American men bring to their families, and to find their voices again and to speak up. Nothing here needs to be violent and nuts. This is all about intelligent, loving people recognizing that where their power might be. And look at us. We have Derek Johnson in the house who's going to talk to us about how ignorant most of us are in our Constitution. And when the news event you're hearing, he'll pull together military law just to provoke maybe your thinking. You have Brad Olson, and what are they hiding in Antarctica? And we live on the planet. Why can't we go where we want? Who the hell are you, right? And many things like that. And on and on and on. And we have a very friendly panel where Chris O'Connor is going to be interesting. He just did have emergency surgery. So I just want to put it out there. I hope he's fully recovered to come to the event. He is a super soldier that went off planet and also he overcame a lot, and he's going to be a very interesting speaker because I think spiritually and on alien talk that President Trump is going to drop the alien exposure. So I think the language that they're dropping, something very soon is going to be coming into our maybe more public community. So having the people who talk about off-world species is important because I feel the creatures that have the appetite to kill and do what they do to children are a dark energy, not of God's source. Oh, I do believe God is aware of everything. And being that we're saying the choices, well, now that you know, what are you going to do with that information, Donna? What about everybody you come across now that you know? What are you going to do? Because that's really what you're here to decide. You're aware that this is going on. So you make the choice. You can continue it and not do anything, or you can just roll up your sleeves and say, hey, I want to join in. How can I get started? Just make that conscious difference, and you'll be saving children and broaden the awareness around the world. That's really it. It's happening. It's an unpleasant subject. God wins. We're here to do a mission. Everyone needs to say either you're for or against it. There is no gray. You're either going to go ahead and try to do something. It could be on small steps, or you're going to sit back and let it continue. And we just have to work harder to bring attention to other people to help us in this. This is a community effort. And I'm very excited to be a part of it with every one of you. And I just love that we're doing this. I really love it so much. I really do. You know,
And-
God bless the children.
And Don, I'm so glad I purposely skipped over Matt because I was going to go back to him. So I'm glad you
Oh,
did
I'm
Matt
sorry.
Geiger. No. I'm happy you did because I flaked out. But he's been an amazing sponsor of this event. And you know, of course, right? Nothing comes for free. You know, we're also, if anybody knows anybody who wants to be a sponsor, we're of course taking that too, because it helps us do a little bit more and, you know, make the event that much better. And I want to make a shout out to Stu because this is going to be his first visit to the United States.
Yay.
And so this is very exciting as well.
Yeah, exactly. Let me just say to that, I haven't been to the States because I've been looking at all this for so long. You know, I was learning about FEMA coffins 10, 15 years ago and all these sorts of things. And I wanted to give it a massive swerve, you know, and then Trump came in and Q and all these sorts of things. But if Trump hasn't made the tweets, we're not in a fake alien invasion, another lockdown, planes are falling out of the sky. I'm very much looking forward to being there. So, yeah. It's going to be amazing.
You're gonna have a safe arrival and a safe departure, and then you're probably gonna come back and see us again soon. So we're not gonna be afraid of anything.
No, I'm flying on God Airlines anyway. And let me just say quickly about the election stuff. I'm a trust the plan guy, but I know we the people are the plan, if not a massive part of it. I believe that these revelations, there's so much is going to come out. We've seen 3 million Epstein files. There's apparently another 3 million to come. There may even be more than that. But it is going to get more and more absurd. And it doesn't matter if you're left or right. Everyone will come together. And I believe these midterms, it's going to be something massive happen there, because in the run up to that, there's going to be so many people awakened to what has been going on. And it's just vitally important that people out there learn that it's we the people, and it doesn't matter how big or small your voice is. Just start using it. Just start talking to your friends, posting things on your social media, and stop looking the other way. And we'll all get there together. Mass non-compliance. And what Lewis was saying as well, Gavin Newsom and these people, about burning it down. Whether they've been taken out and replaced or not, and whether some are still, you know, about, they are doing everything they can to stay out of jail. But it's inevitable. That's where you're going if you're lucky.
Amen.
Amen. Yeah.
And look, everybody, you know, like I said, I want to be mindful of everybody's time. People have other engagements they have to get to. This is kind of a preview of what you can expect at the Awakening Summit. So if you're in the area, if you're not in the area, let's say you're in England, come on over, hop across the pond, skip across the pond, and come to the Awakening Summit. It's on April 25th and 26th. It's going to be a lot easier to get to than the initial Awakening Summit. Come hang out, meet some of these people, listen to some of these people. There's going to be a lot of information there, and it's going to be very, very well worth your while. I want to thank everybody here today, and I want to thank all of you for watching. And I hope that you all get to come and see us at the Awakening Summit in April.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Nice to see you
Thank
all.
you, everybody.
When we go all.
Thank you. Yes. And it's the awakeningsummit.org. That's where you could get your tickets.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Maud.
you.
Nice to meet you all.
Good luck,
Bye-bye.
Lewis, tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, good luck.
God bless everybody. Thank you.